It doesn't end. The Rings of Power has been officially renewed for season 3. However, they're planning a major time jump, so they're going forward into the future quite a bit, not a small amount. This is an interesting turn of events. This is all a puff piece, by the way, by from Amazon. Like Amazon told the Hollywood Reporter to write this. You can tell from the kind of, they've got an exclusive log line and the kind of wording that they're doing. So this is very much Amazon Prime, like, picking up the phone, but like, yo, Hollywood Reporter, we've got a piece that we need you to run. Do you know what I mean? So what do they say? Well, Prime Video has officially confirmed that The Lord of the Rings of Power, for a 3rd season. Rings of Power is in pre-production, and filming of the hit fantasy drama, it's not a hit, sharp, will begin this spring at the show's new production home at Shepperton Studios in the UK. Amazon bought Shepperton Studios. I drive past Shepperton Studios actually on the way to London, and they bought that, which is sort of another way for them to keep costs down, because if they film everything at their own studio, and also it's in the UK, then they don't have to pay for studio space, and they get a kickback from the government as well. All 12 fans have been eagerly awaiting the renewal news since the show's 2nd season finale aired in October. The Hollywood Reporter can reveal, I'm sure they can because Amazon told them to, that the show is executing a time jump, a major time jump going into the new episodes, with Sauron now crafting the iconic One Ring. Here is the exclusive log line gifted to them from Amazon. Jumping forward several years from the events of season 2, season 3 takes place at the height of the War of the Elves and Sauron, as the Dark Lord seeks to craft the One Ring that will give him the edge he needs to win the war and conquer all Middle-earth at last. The War of the Elves took place during Tolkien's Second Age and was the first major battle in Middle-earth against Sauron. It's a battle that occurs before the clash seen in the prologue of the Lord of the Rings movies, which was the War of the Last Alliance. So, few things, I reckon, just before I hand it on over to you guys. I have no grounds to say this. This is just my own sort of ruminations, my own thinking. The time jump could be that they're looking to wrap up sooner rather than later. That's my genuine guess, and it is a guess. I'm not basing it on anything. I'm just thinking that maybe they're trying to wrap this up a lot sooner, because they were supposed to do 5 seasons. I mean, a big time jump, you're getting close to the prologue and close to the time period where there's going to be no more stories to tell realistically with what they're working with, character wise. And they won't be able to either, because then you're going into the territory of what Warner Brothers has the rights to. So I think the time jump is them looking to, move forwards and actually wrap things up sooner. I mean, I don't know how, many years are jumping forward, but a lot of the characters, the human ones, are going to be dead now. If it's a major time jump. So it seems weird that you would invest so much time and money on these actors, and then they've just, you're basically going to make them null and void. It's a bit weird. So there's that. This is all a puff piece. This show was not a hit. It was a fucking disaster. But it was a given that they were going to come back for a 3rd season at the very least. It's how many they do past that, though, that's going to be interesting. So I don't have much else to say, really. Who cares? Not many. They're still trying to paint it as a positive. The show is a disaster. And over to you, Culture. What do you reckon about this?
Well, I mean, obviously, you pointed out some of the shortcomings that will be created out of this, and they will have definitely moved into a situation where there will be disposable elements. But that kind of, if you're telling the story the way they're trying to tell it, beginning to end in 5 seasons, I kind of feel like you almost have to do this. And the show's expensive enough as it is, so paying these people for a long stretch of time for multiple seasons is also a bit dodgy. And always adds to additional expense. When you look at this overall, though, nobody wants this. The 2nd season kind of fell off to the extreme in a way that I really do wish some of these outlets would be able to describe, because not only did they lose about, and Marvin can correct me if I'm wrong, but like 60% from season 1 to season 2 of viewers, they also had the same problem as the 1st season, where it fell off precipitously from episode to episode. So as we take a look at this particular, revelation of something we knew was absolutely going to happen, and we find out the things that are within the series going to happen. I feel like, uh, as a fan, I'm sitting on a white couch surrounded by people that are, trying to screw me. And at least my memories for, the particular Lord of the Rings, the original, the actual, the one and only.
Hmm.
Yeah, go on then, Marvin. What do you reckon,
Yeah,
mate?
so I don't think that they're trying to close this out early. I think Jennifer Salke has put so much of herself into this that she is going to get her 5 seasons out of this come hell or high water. She doesn't care how many people drop out. She doesn't care how much money they lose. She's going to get these 5 seasons just so that people can't call it a failure, because she has been the queen of weird Hollywood language when it comes to this, where she's like, well, over 175 million or whatever people have engaged with the show. It's like, well, what does engaged mean, Jennifer? Because when you actually look at the numbers, the culture was correct. They lost 60% of the audience from season 1 to season 2. So season 1 had a total combination of, I think, about 8 billion minutes watched, because it had a really big debut, and then lost 67% of that audience by the finale. Now, season 2 only got 3 billion minutes watched, which, if you compare that to the top 10 streaming for 2024, it doesn't even come near it. The number 10 had like 7 billion minutes watched. So, it's like more than double what Rings of Power season 2 did. So nobody's watching this show. It's bleeding viewers left and right. I'm confused by the time jump, because if you're jumping 1,000 years into the future, you're right. All the human characters will be gone. And the problem with that, though, is that you've already introduced Isildur, who is the one who's supposed to cut the ring from Sauron's hand at the Battle of the Last Alliance. So, I mean, if you go like 100 years in the future, they could all technically still be there, because the Numenorian humans did live longer. Like, Aragorn died at the age of 210. So the Numenorians can live longer. It just depends on how much further in the future they're going to go. But the problem is the Second Age lasts for thousands upon thousands of years, and the Last Alliance of Elves and Men, that war is like the end of the Second Age. So I've always thought it was a little interesting how they brought Isildur into it, probably thousands of years before he's actually supposed to exist. The show is just a complete and utter disaster. Yeah, they don't care. They don't care. J.D. Payne, Patrick McKay, and Jennifer Salke, they're all J.J. Abrams' disciples. They've all worshipped at the altar of J.J., and they've gotten positions in Hollywood that they do not deserve, all because of the fact that he was the one that put them there. And, like any true J.J. Abrams disciple, they're going to go into an established IP and just ruin and destroy it with just pure hackery.
Yeah. Well, those people had never directed anything before either. They never showrun anything before.
They had no experience, and they were given the most expensive show that's ever existed.
What joke! What actual joke! Jesus! Oh dear, what a disaster! Go on, Nick. What do you reckon, mate?
I mean, I think Marvin could be spot on, but I want to look at another possibility, because if you factor in the money that they spent on getting the rights to do this and the marketing, just for this first 2 seasons, they're in over $1 billion on this crap show here. So, here they are jumping forward several years. We don't know what several is. Is that 2, 3, 5, 7, whatever. I tend to lean a little bit towards what you were saying, Nate. Are they trying to wrap this up? Because at this point in time, to do 2 more seasons after this 3rd season, which is probably going to do even worse than the first 2 seasons, from a cost standpoint, I mean, if they even care if they're losing money or not, if they don't, then it doesn't matter. They'll go on with the 5 seasons. But if they care about losing money, it might be cheaper for them just to break contract and freaking get out of this thing. And be done with it, because at this point, even if you brought in new showrunners to finish out the last 2 seasons, how do you follow up with the disastrousness of the first 2 seasons and what's more likely going to be a disastrous third season, who's going to want to come in and take that job to try to fix this thing and get it going in a different? You can't do it. So I mean, if I was running things over there, I wouldn't even. I mean, I guess has third season even started filming? I mean, or are they still in pre-production?
Pre-production.
No, yeah, they're
Okay.
starting. I think in the spring they said they're going to start filming.
Yeah, if I was running things over there, I'd be like, look, this thing's canceled, and I would just deal with the contract negotiations, payout, whatever, payout I need to do or whatever needs to happen just to get out of it. Because this is a complete shit show. Nobody's watching this show. And it's just shitting all over Tolkien's legacy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're not wrong. You're not bloody wrong at all. Not wrong at all. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, it's not going to be successful at all. It's just not. The first one was not a success. It was a huge decline all throughout the season. And then first to the second, they lost viewers because obviously naturally they lost viewers during season 1, and then they lost viewers during season 2 as well. So, like, at what point are you going to be like, oh yeah, what we're doing is just not working, is it? Do you know what I mean? Like the data, they just keep lying to themselves. Jennifer Solke's just high on lies. Basically.
Yeah, if they didn't figure that out after season 1, or even halfway through season 1, screw the end of season 1, halfway through season 1, they're never going to figure it out. They have their head in the sand and they are delusional.
Well, this show hit the final stage of franchise death faster than any show I've ever seen do it. Because it got to apathy real fast. Now, as any content creator can tell you, trying to do Rings of Power videos during season 2 is nothing like trying to do them during season 1. During season 1, guys like Gary were making bank off of Rings of Power videos, but like we've been trying to do Rings of Power season 2 stuff while it was airing, and nobody cared. It has hit apathy so fast. Nobody cares. It has just vanished from the public mindset.
Yeah, that was like Skeleton Crew for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I watched two
Star Wars has hit
episodes of it.
apathy, yeah.
Well,
I watched 2 episodes of Rings of Power season 2, and I was like, nah, fuck this.
I think I got 4 episodes into it before I was just like, I can't do this anymore, and none of my videos are getting views on this, so it's not worth it.
Yeah,
I got halfway through episode 2 of season 1, and I was out. I couldn't even finish the second episode of season 1.
Yeah, understandable. You got anything left to add, Culture? You want to round us out with this? Or?
I just feel like of all the companies that can afford to waste money, that were started by a pretty smart guy who became a billionaire, to leave this out there embarrassing yourself over a property you claim to have loved, Mr. Jeff Bezos, is embarrassing in and of itself. Again, I mean, you should have learned this a long time ago as CEO of this company, but putting women in charge of things like this is a terrible decision. Just awful.
All right, that's ending on a base note there, I guess. Culture, don't let your wife hear you talk about women that way. I'm sure she's coming to slap the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Everybody
understands.
Right.
Everybody understands
We'll move on from that.
That's funny.